Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to call this meeting to order. Today is pursuant to the Texas Open Meetings Act, a regular meeting of the Commissioners Court of Hood County, Texas. Today is Tuesday, June 22nd. It's 9 a.m. We're in the Century Jury Room of the Hood County Justice Center at 1200 West Pearl Street in Granbury, Texas. We are pleased here today that, again, Dr. Bill Miller of the Hood County Pastor Council has arranged a great speaker to give us an invocation, and today we're pleased to have Chaplain and Pastor Steve Quinn from Lakeside Baptist Church here to give the invocation this morning. Welcome, Pastor.
Thank you, gentlemen, for the opportunity to pray for you and over you today. Father, we recognize that you are a good God, you are a good Father, and all good things come from you. Those good things include our freedom, and Lord, help us to never take that freedom for granted. Lord, a freedom to worship, a freedom to live our lives in accordance to your will. And Lord, we also recognize that we live our lives in freedom under the guidance of your perfect law. Lord, one of those other great gifts that comes from you is wisdom, and your word tells us where we lack wisdom, if we ask for it, you will give it generously and liberally. And so, Father, we pray today for those who are elected as servant leaders in our community, that, Lord, you would give them wisdom far beyond their own ability, and, Lord, that they would lead wisely, they would lead fairly, and they would lead generously and kindly and compassionately. And Lord, we also recognize that our ability to come to you in prayer is also a gift from you. And so we thank you for the access we have to the throne room of heaven through your Son, Jesus Christ. And Lord, help us to never take that for granted as well. Father, may you be blessed and honored by the proceedings that happen here today. And may we be a better community. May we be a spotlight in this dark world through the decisions that are made here today. We pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Now would you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to our flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Pledge to the Texas flag.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Pastor Quinn. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Do you have any special presentation, Ms. Welborn? Whatever you would like to do.
We can go ahead and whoever is presenting the presentation to the County Youth Services.
Okay. You want to do the service awards first? Did I understand you? No, she just.
Okay. Yes.
While we're doing this, is there anybody in the public that wishes to speak on any agenda item? There is a public participation form that you must fill out. Sheriff Deeds at the back of the room has these forms. You can fill them out on any agenda item, and we will determine, depending on how many people speak on any agenda item, how much time you have. And please mark on here whether you are for or against the agenda item, because that determines how much time you have. It's a maximum of 30 minutes on any agenda item. So if you have want to speak about anything, like this is one that's already wanting to speak, and they say that they are against an item here. So I'm going to set this aside. And if there's anybody else that wants to speak on anything, please do it. Because if we get to the agenda item and you don't have a public participation form, you will not be able to speak on that agenda item. So thank you. So, Ms. Welborn, do you want to do the service awards first?
Yes, sir, that'll be fine.
Okay, go ahead, please.
Our first one this morning is Colton Swanson.
Judge, Commissioners, Colton's been with our department for 5 years now.
Good. Thank you very much.
Would you mind?
You can go ahead and do yours if you want to. Since you're up here.
Judge, I have 2 today. The next one is Shane Bolton, and he's
Okay.
been with us for 25 years.
25 years.
Yes, sir.
Hey.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Congratulations.
And then we have a presentation to Ron Berryman for 10 years.
Hey.
Sure. We appreciate your service.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
I want you to know that Ron Berryman does more than just a bailiff for the district court. He does a lot more things. I mean, you really do. You're kind of a jack of all trades around here, Mr. Berryman, and you do a great job, so thank you very much for that. Okay, what about the special presentation for the Hood County Youth Services Annual Blood Drive? Do we have anything on that today? By Carter Blood Care? Yes, you do? Yes, please. I hope that's for me. That's a very nice thing. I would look, obviously that's not.
Yeah.
How are you? What is your name, please?
My name is Michaela Donahue, and I'm a Carter Blood Care consultant, and so Hood County is under my, I guess, territory. So this is my first year helping out with the Battle of the Badges for this area, and so I wanted to be the one to present the first trophy. This is for 2020 and 2021, and the Sheriff's Department were the winners. So, and let me explain a little bit about what Battle of the Badges actually means. So, Battle of the Badges means that there is going to be a group of people, so usually the fire department, sheriff's department, and police department, and either the men and women themselves donate, and we actually do a vote, and so whoever wins at the end gets a trophy presented by us. And so I wanted to tell you guys a little bit about how amazing Hood County did in the past 2 years. So obviously 2020 was very challenging for everyone, and thanks to the commitment of Hood County Youth Services, we were able to actually host a 2-day blood drive. So on Tuesday, March 24th, we collected 42 units. On Thursday, March 26th, we collected 67 units. So that was incredible. We were, in the deficit. We were literally in the red. And we were just so thankful that we were able to have 2 very, very successful blood drives that were able to save so many lives. However, I wanted to brag because this year, thanks to the help of everyone, especially the Hood County Youth Services, and Shay Pendleton really was the main help for me, at least. Her and I worked very closely together. And so Wednesday, May 12th, 2021, we collected 67 units. So if you're unfamiliar, every time you donate blood, you actually save 3 lives. So with all of those numbers combined, 42, 67, and 67, that was a total of 167 units of blood that was saved, and there was over 528 lives saved because of your efforts. So I wanted to say huge congratulations, thank you so much, and present this traveling trophy. So every time someone wins, they get their name on the plaque. So the Sheriff's Department is 2020, 2021, so they will be the hosts of the trophy until next year for Battle of the Badges. So,
Good.
thank you.
Great. You want a photograph of the, yeah, let's get a photograph. With the sheriff.
Get the sheriff up here.
Yeah, Sheriff, y'all come up
on
here, let's
up
take
here,
a
Roy.
photograph. This is a real Kodak moment here now.
Awesome. Thank you. Awesome. You're welcome. Thank you.
My people give their blood every day, blood, sweat, and tears. And now we got a trophy for them. So.
Thank you, Sheriff. Okay, all right. Now that brings us to the consent agenda. Does any commissioner wish to pull or discuss anything on the consent agenda? Well, I have one thing. The purchasing agent, Mr. Glenn Tillman, has asked me that he would like to speak on one item on the consent agenda. Go ahead, Mr. Tillman.
Thank you, Judge, Commissioners. Item number 2, purchasing approves a request to transfer inventory item 14906, which is a decommissioned 2012 Tahoe, from the sheriff's office to juvenile probation. On the agenda, it said adult probation, but I just wanted to make sure that it was recorded to be juvenile probation that we wish to transfer that to.
Yeah. So all the paperwork is done, it's just going to juvenile rather than adult probation?
Correct.
Okay, so with that amendment, does
Judge, I'll make the motion to approve the consent agenda.
a motion been made by Commissioner Cotton to approve the consent agenda, second by Commissioner Andrews. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Okay, now that brings us down to Ms. Kidd. Are you ready? Let's see. Oh, where are we? Mr. Donald Lenny. How are you?
Good morning, Judge Massengill, Commissioners. The one item we have for road operations is discuss and take appropriate action on accepting the following dedicated roadway in Lake Granbury Harbor for passage to be maintenance in our road count. Commissioner Andrews had been approached by the HOA of Lake Granbury Harbor. In your packet, there's a map of Lake Granbury Harbor. The darker roadways are the ones that we already have under our maintenance list. The highlighted yellow one is the one that they're asking for. This is, Commissioner Andrews and myself went out there a couple of times and looked at this roadway. It's in very good shape. It won't take much to get it to where it needs to be at, so.
Kind of connect up those two pieces of county roadway there. There's kind of a gap in between them there, so.
Motion.
Judge, I'll make the motion to accept the dedicated roadway in Lake Granbury Harbor for passable maintenance into the Hood County road system on West Virginia Trail from Lake Granbury Drive to Washington Trail, total of 1,485 feet.
Second.
A motion been made by Commissioner Andrew to accept the dedicated roadway from West Virginia Trail to Washington Trail, second by Commissioner Cotton. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you,
Lynn.
Judge.
Okay, now we got development. Mr. Clint Head.
Morning, Judge. Morning, Commissioners. First item we have today is application's been accepted for a replat of Orchards on the Brazos, Lot 1R. This replat is in Precinct 2. Staff recommends setting the public hearing for the July 27, 2021 Commissioners Court.
July 27th, did you say? Judge, I'll make that motion to set a public hearing for the replat of Orchards on the Brazos, Lot 1R, for July the 27th.
A motion been made by Commissioner Cotton to set the public hearing for Orchards on the Brazos, Lot 1R, for July the 27th, 2021.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Wilson. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
The second item we have today is a public hearing to discuss and consider the site development plan of Abbey Place Townhomes in Precinct 3.
Okay. Is it, you're on 2B there? We're going to have to convene into a public hearing. Okay, so right now at 9:18, we are convening into a public hearing to discuss and consider approval of the site development plan on Abbey Place Townhomes. Okay?
The property is located on Silverton Drive. The legal description of the property is Lot 4R1, Main Place, Phase 2. The site development plan is located in the Road Corridor District and will be served by AMUD Water and Sewer. The proposed site development plan proposes to create two-story 10-plex townhomes with 59 parking spaces. 2 of the parking spaces will be handicapped. 20 of the parking spaces will be located inside garages. Development has a letter from AMUD stating they can service the proposed site plan with water and sewer. There are no variances associated with this site development plan, and I believe you have a speaker.
Under. Good morning.
Morning. How are you, Judge, Commissioners? I just had a couple of questions about it. I didn't hear you spoke really fast. Where are these located?
Main Place.
Main Place. Is that where the homes are behind the shopping center? Behind the post office. The reason I was wondering is because Fall Creek is getting to be a nightmare, and the more we build out that way, I'm just kind of questioning the infrastructure that we have in the Acton-Fall Creek area. Right now, almost every time you approach the red light in Acton onto Highway 4, the backup on the turn lane is all the way, most of the way to the Independent Bank, and sometimes you can't even get through there on the first green light. So I just want to make sure we're keeping that infrastructure in mind as we get more and more people that move into Acton and off of Fall Creek. That was my concern. Thank you.
Do you have any response to that, Mr. Head?
Well, most of what she's talking about is text dot, and as long as, by the law, if they're following our regulations, there's not a whole lot we can do on their property to do something down the road. And we can't make them improve down the highway.
Okay. All right. All right.
A couple of years ago, they came into Fall Creek and they widened it with a small shoulder on each side and repaved it. And that, I don't know if we as a county can make a suggestion or recommendation to TxDOT that it is becoming a traffic nightmare there, where they can study it and maybe make some recommendations to them, because it is getting very, very busy out that way.
You may be able to mention something to the TxDOT regarding that to see. Of course, there's a lot of infrastructure that we need to be addressing here, because we are growing so fast and the infrastructure is not keeping up with it, and that's one of our concerns. And
Me and one of the court has been discussing some relief for Fall Creek.
okay. All right. Now we're going to convene back into the Commissioners Court hearing. Do I hear a motion?
I move that we, approve the following site development plan for Abbey Place Townhomes.
A motion been made by Commissioner Wilson to approve the site development plan for Abbey Place Townhomes. I hear a second.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Andrews. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. What else do you have, Mr. Head?
This next agenda item requires no action. Development just would like to read this in the record, just to be with the regulations that requires the construction plans have been approved by staff and the engineer, and all comments have been addressed and have been approved before reading the next agenda item. And with that being said, we have the next agenda item, which is the developer's agreement, performance bond, and maintenance bond, and the final plat of Vista Oaks Subdivision Phase 2 to discuss and consider. This is the Phase 2 of the concept plan of Vista Oaks that was approved December 22nd in 2020 Commissioners Court. The preliminary plat for this phase was approved May 25th Commissioners Court. The property is located at 601 Williamson Road. The gross area for this final plat is 93.358 acres of the J. Belden Survey Abstract Number 60, the J. Wilcoxon Survey Abstract Number 579. The final plat is located in the Road Corridor District in Precinct 2 and will be served by well and on-site sewage facilities. This final plat will create 36 single-family lots and 2 commercial lots. The largest lot proposed will be of 5.3 acres, and the smallest lot will be 2 acres. There are approximately 5,200 linear feet of streets proposed with this final plat. There was a variance that was approved for the concept plan on December 22nd, 2020, Commissioners Court concerning a street longer than 600 feet ending in a cul-de-sac. There are no new variances associated with this final plat. Staff has reviewed this final plat. All comments have been addressed. Staff recommends approval as presented.
Okay. I know that we have Joe LaCroix here. Mr. LaCroix, do you wish to? We appreciate you coming every week. You are following this project very closely, and we appreciate that. Good morning.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. Thank you. Joe LaCroix with Baird, Hampton & Brown. Good to see everybody again. I'm happy to answer any questions if you have any. Appreciate you taking the time to hear our case.
Okay. You're working very closely together, aren't you, Mr. Head? Yes. Okay. Do I hear a motion?
Judge, let me see if I can't make a motion here. The motion will be to approve the developer's letter of agreement, the performance bond, and the maintenance bond, and also to approve the final plat of Vista Oaks Phase 2.
Okay, motion been made by Commissioner Cotton regarding the letter agreement, performance bond, maintenance bond, and final plat of Vista Oaks Phase 2. Do I hear a second? Second. Second by Commissioner Wilson. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Okay.
This next item, thank you. The next item, I appeared before the capital budget hearings on the 15th, last Tuesday, to request a replacement for the 2012 Tahoe, and the court thought it was best to see what was available right now and put it on the agenda for this court. The reason I was presenting this request is, in my opinion, the cost for the repairs needed for the Tahoe exceed what the value or what wouldn't be a sound investment considering the age of the Tahoe and the miles that are on it. You know, about a year ago, we put it in the shop for a loud metal clank, and they looked at it, and they looked at the engine mounts and the transmission mount, and they told me it was the front end, so they rebuilt the front end after they changed the price like 3 times, and it got out and it fixed the tire wear, but it still got the loud clank, and the air conditioner doesn't work, and I know from my experience with the air conditioner that can run anywhere from $1,500 to $3,000 to fix that, so I've had to pay that myself. Looking at this like if it was my vehicle, I don't know if I'd put that kind of money in a car that old or not, so I haven't put it back in the shop to see if it's the rear end, but I priced the rear ends just on AutoZone's website. For a rebuilt rear end, it's $2,000. That's not counting parts and labor, so I put it before the capital budget, and that's when y'all heard it and told me to bring it here. And at the time, purchasing found one that was available, or they found 2 that was available. One had a camper shell and one did not. And the time we put it on the budget, we didn't have a final amount, but we do now. And we're requesting the one without the camper shell.
We found a 2021 Chevrolet four-wheel drive that is available right now on a TIPS contract, available at $35,370.35.
Okay. And this is out of Fund 55?
Yes.
Ms. Kidd, we got enough money in Fund 55?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I was going to add an additional $200 for rubber floor mats on the Amazon website I found. They're a lot cheaper than if you buy them from the dealer.
Okay.
Clint's our floodplain manager. A lot of times he gets out there in territory where he might need four-wheel drive to get in and get out. If he gets, so, yeah, I think it's a need to give him the vehicle so he can do his job. So I'll make the motion then to approve the purchase of the 2021 Chevrolet four-wheel drive pickup to be purchased out of Fund 55, not to exceed $38,000.
Second.
Motion been made by Commissioner Cotton to approve the purchase of a 2021 Chevrolet four-wheel drive pickup to be purchased out of Fund 55, not to exceed $38,000. Second by Commissioner Eagle. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, Mr. Head. Hey, line item transfers and budget amendments. Ms. Becky Kidd.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. The first line on transfers on the sheriff. Pardon?
Didn't bring that one. Judge, Commissioners, what I'm asking to do here is increase the part-time budget. We're needing to hire another part-time person, and we don't have enough money to finish out the year for the part-time that's there for the kennel tech. That's a nice new building that you provided to us for a few years ago, and we want to make sure it stays that way. So I'm taking the money and putting it into to increase the part-time budget and decreasing adoption veterinarian fees.
The second line item transfer that the sheriff would like to do, we did talk about at the capital projects budget hearing. We suggested at that point in time, instead of leaving it in capital, if he could find the money in his budget to take care of this now. I really wanted him to do that. That saves capital money for other projects. So the sheriff has found the money to be able to get these interview room cameras right now. So that's the second item. And that, I'm kind of pushing that one.
So on that one, brought that to you during the capital budget, and we've had a lot of problems with the different two interview rooms that I have and the intoxilizer room that's back in the jail. So what this money would do would get us all on the same page with the Axon equipment. That we've got the Axon cameras in the cars, the body cameras. It's a great system, working well, working very well, and putting that into those rooms, and the $64,000, taking it out of county inmates and moving it into contract services to pay for this. The actual cost per year is $12,708, but this is a 5-year contract for warranty, maintenance, everything included in that. So paying it all up front and be done with it for 5 years.
Third one. Contract services.
Oh, yeah, moving money out of decreasing out-of-county inmates to increase the contract services by $2,000 to finish out the year. I forgot about that one. It's on the next page.
Gentlemen, you want to approve these three and then move on to the other two, or approve them all at once?
I don't care. Take them one at a time. Let's just.
So you want to do the three for the sheriff?
Three for the sheriff. Let's take the three.
Then I'll make that motion to approve the line item transfers for the sheriff as presented.
Second.
Made by Commissioner Cotton to approve the 3 line item transfers for the sheriff, second by Commissioner Eagle. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
The next line item transfer is from the extension agents. Hannah? No, Hannah.
I can kind of fill you in on this a little bit. The, sorry. The Impala had a bad battery and the glass got broken on, yeah, it was on the Impala. And,
Glass got broken on the truck.
okay, it was the truck. I thought that this.
Battery in the Impala and.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and she's off to camp with 4-H or something, so she couldn't be here today. But anyway, there were just a couple of unexpected things that came up on that. and she just needed to make that transfer to cover those things.
All right. Need a motion, sir?
Okay, yeah, hear a motion.
I'll make the motion to increase vehicle maintenance by $400 and decrease education and travel.
Second. Wilson, Commissioner Wilson.
Motion been made by Commissioner Andrews to increase supplies and decrease the elections for judges and clerks, second by Commissioner Wilson. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Okay,
Elections? Michelle? No, Michelle?
Michelle is not here.
I know she's talked to me about it. I don't know if she's talked to the rest of the commissioners about increasing her supplies, whether it's voting registration forms and so on and so forth. Is just requesting that she increase her supplies at the end of the year and then decrease her elections and judges, clerks' election supplies through the end of the year.
Well, I'm glad she talks to Commissioner Cotton, because she never talks to me.
Well, this is out of her own budget is what she's doing. She's conducting an election right now for the city. Is why she's not here today, is what she told me. So she's not here, and she wants to increase supplies and decrease that. This is within her budget, is it not?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So did you make the motion, Mr. Khan? You just talked about it. Do I hear a motion in regard to this?
And then I'll make the motion to make the item transfer, increasing supplies for elections and decreasing elections, judges, and clerks increase election supplies through the end of the budget year.
Second.
Okay, motion been made by Commissioner Cotton to increase the supplies for the election administrator and decrease elections for the judges and clerks through the end of the year, second by Commissioner Wilson. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. Okay. Ms. Kidd?
Gentlemen, we are going to consider certification of payments of invoices for the period of June 2nd to 2021 through June 15th, 2021, and discuss vendor payments over $10,000 and take appropriate action. You all have a copy of the payments over $10,000. Are there any questions regarding these payments?
Okay. Do I hear a motion to go ahead and pay these bills?
Well, the bills for this month, for this court, for June 22nd, 2022, $636,048.28. The auditor's office has reviewed all the invoices and recommends payment.
I'll make that motion to approve the payments of, or the payment of $636,048.28.
Second.
Made by Commissioner Cotton to approve payment of the bills in the amount of $636,048.28, second by Commissioner Andrews. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Judge Commissioners, the next item I have on the agenda is to consider financial reports received and reviewed by the Audit Department for the period of June 1st, 2021 through June 15th, 2021, and for you to take appropriate action. We have reviewed everything that is on your list. There is one that's in progress and a few that are amended. We see no issues with these and ask that you accept them as presented.
One is in progress.
Tax assessor collector?
So you don't have one for Constable Precinct 2?
No, sir, we do not.
Okay.
Is there one in progress?
That's the tax assessor collector.
I know that one. What about for Precinct 2? Is there?
We do not have a report from Precinct 2.
I think all of us understand why there's been some emergency situations in here.
We anticipate getting it real soon and getting it on the agenda.
Okay. All right, with that explanation, do I hear a motion?
Judge, I'll make the motion to accept the
monthly reports.
Monthly reports.
Second.
Motion's been made by Commissioner Andrews to accept the monthly reports for the period of June 1, 2021 through June 15, 2021, second by Commissioner Cotton. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay, motion carries 5-0. Okay. Item number 3 is to accept American Recovery Plan revenue and sign the form for special revenue not anticipated before adoption of fiscal year 2021 annual financial budget. I want to read to everybody what the Hood County Auditor's Office has sent to the Commissioners Court. This is regarding Local Government Code Section 111.0108, special budget for revenue received after start of fiscal year. The county auditor shall certify to the Commissioners Court the receipt of revenue from a new source not anticipated before the adoption of the budget and not included in the budget for that fiscal year. On certification, the court may adopt a special budget for the limited purpose of spending the revenue for general purposes or for any of its intended purposes. And then it goes on to say that revenues not budgeted for in the budget year 2021. The Hood County Auditor's Office certifies the receipt of $5,986,715 from the American Recovery Act revenue to be budgeted in Fund 83. This is the American Recovery Act funds. Expenditures to be added to the budget year 2021, $5,986,715 for services and relief funds for Hood County to be budgeted in Fund 83, which is the American Recovery Act. Now, I know there's several people here that wants to speak on the American Recovery Act, and I was in the same meeting that both of the ladies that want to speak on this act was, and what we're saying here is, if I understand our conversations, Ms. Kidd, I'm going to bring it out to Commissioners Court, that we're just accepting this money. We're not spending any of this money, that we want to conduct workshops to fully understand any meanings or definitions or requirements to this money, to make sure that there's not anything that subjects this county to teaching or accepting anything that remotely touches the critical race theory or any of that propaganda. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
I think that everybody here in Hood County, most of the people, are good Christian conservative people. And this critical race theory about all white people being oppressors and all people of color being the oppressed, and all the variations and subtleties and subterfuges regarding to hide that, to get you to accept something, and then you must go along with that, is not going to be accepted. I do not believe, well, I know for sure by your county judge, but I think it's not going to be well received by any of my fellow commissioners on this court. But then again, almost $6 million is a lot of money that could help this county if there are no strings attached to this that tells us how we must spend this money. I have read the general fact sheet, and it says that we have a wide range of discretion on how we spend this money. But it's also connected with about 10 different acts and executive orders and other things that we have to see how everything meshes together. And my deal is that I'm from Mill Campo, Texas, and we always believe that possession is 9/10 of the law, and so since we got the money here in our bank, I'd like to keep it here. Don't spend it so we don't have any obligations. But if we make sure that we can use the money to help our citizens here in Hood County, which is what I say that's what the intent is supposed to be, but I don't want any hooks in it that would catch us. That's what we have to do. And I'm kind of looking at two people right here that have done such a good job for this commissioner's court and doing what I say is a $300,000 consulting agreement. And from my perspective, I think they should use those talents even further in delving into this to make sure that there are no trick words in here like inequities, inequalities, or something like that, that would require this county to either do something or give money back that we have spent. So I don't see any problem with making a motion to keep this money. Let's don't send almost $6 million back. Let's keep it here, and if we can use it the way we want it to help our citizens and our small businesses, that's one thing. But if we have to use it a certain way that some people in Washington, D.C. are going to tell us to use it, then I say we don't want it. So that's what I have to say about it, and now I know that we have some people here that like to say something about it, and let's see. Well, I only have two, and it's the two people that I think need to sit up here, and so it's Nanette Samuelson. You were the first one here, so would you like to come up here and say your spiel about it?
Say something before you get started, because it's important. Okay. Judge, before she gets started, you and I've had this conversation with several of you, prior to giving anybody a dime, let me just be real frank, I absolutely encourage you to make sure that they give you a completely detailed budget, exactly how they're going to spend the money, because we are responsible for reporting it. And I don't want to waste time chasing someone down if they're not going to report properly to us, because then we will be sending it back.
Yeah.
So I highly encourage every entity to complete a budget before we give them any money.
Yeah, that's step B, before we give any money.
Right.
But first of all, we got to clear, the first hurdle is A, to make sure that there's not any hooks in the money that would require the good people here of Hood County to do something that is contrary to our very beliefs and our way of life and how we view things. So with that, Ms. Nanette Samuelson, but your point is well taken. If we get to the first hurdle, then we come back to say, how are we going to disperse this money? We're going to give it to people, and they're not just going to be the Mad Hatter here. They're going to have to come up with the budget and how the money would be spent and how it is beneficial to help businesses, the people in our community. That's what we're going to have to do.
Just to add on to your request, I mean, there could be a process set up where before the money is spent, a request is put in, you all review it before the money is actually given. So that, I agree with you that there needs to be a very strict process.
It's really a two-part. It's really a two-part. It's actually a three-part. It's A, make sure that the money is acceptable to us, that we can spend it the way that we see fit, the citizens here in Hood County. Then B, that the people that receive the money have a budget and it's strictly followed. And then C, that we have an auditing of the money they receive, and they don't get all the money at one time. They will receive it incrementally, and to see if they have spent it in accordance with the budget that they've submitted to us. So if you can get all of that,
Right, you have to.
that's fine, because everybody else is getting it, you know? I probably wouldn't vote for it in general. I don't know how the $1 trillion, they're just printing
Yeah.
the money, but this money is earmarked for Hood County.
Mm-hmm.
And if we don't get it, it goes to somebody else, or it's cheats back to the state or back to the federal government. So
Yeah.
that's my take on it, and so,
Okay.
Ms.
So just
Samuelson?
while you're up here, while I was reviewing the budget, I noticed this is a change from, when I printed the budget out a few months ago, it was correct, but see, that column is incorrect on the web when I printed this out yesterday. That should say 2020 to 2021. Those are the right numbers, but that's not the right title.
Just didn't capture it when we did it
Yeah,
again.
yeah, so just noticed that yesterday when the
Yeah,
one I
well,
printed.
Ms. Samuelson, you're going to have to
Okay.
speak up so
right.
everybody can hear you
Okay,
all.
so thank
I know that
you.
you and Becky are very important. Stay
All
right
right, well, I was
regardless,
just
kid.
pointing out that there was, when I printed the budget out months ago, it was correct, but when I printed it out yesterday, on the web, there's a problem with the headings on the 2020 budget, so,
And we changed that. I don't know why it didn't stick.
okay.
Okay.
All right, so thank you and good morning. Thank you for giving me the time to speak today on the American Recovery Act proposal to accept almost $6 million, which represents about 18% of the budget. And first of all, let me thank you for posting many of the links on the agenda. That's been very helpful. I know it's a work in process, and there's additional documents that still need to be posted, so thank you for starting that process. It's very helpful. So one of the, as you mentioned, there was a seminar, Dr. Carol Haynes, who's an expert in education curriculum and a renowned policy analyst, stated that any acceptance of American Recovery Act money will obligate the receiver to implement critical race theory. And yes, you can say, well, the legislature already passed that can't be done in schools. Well, but that doesn't mean it can't be pushed to county employees or to any business that the county determines is viable to accept this money from the county. So thank you for recognizing that and looking into that. The other concern is for Planned Parenthood. As we all know, the current administration is very interested in supporting Planned Parenthood and the killing of 800,000 babies a year, and we want to make sure that any acceptance of this money does not obligate us to do anything related to supporting Planned Parenthood. But I did have if all that checks out, and there's always strings attached, so I'm very not trusting that there are no strings attached, but let's just say there are. So then my question goes to, if we accept almost 18% of our current budget to offset spending, why not give that back to the taxpayers? So I looked through what's on the web, and there is a statement in here that says funds allocated to states cannot be used to directly or indirectly offset tax reductions or delay tax or tax increase. But it doesn't say that you can't do that in the county. And at the beginning, it talks about state funding is a portion that's $195 billion. Local funding is a proportion that's approximately $130 billion. So it looks to me like there's a difference in this statement that says states cannot use the money to offset taxes or future tax increases, but not counties or cities. So definitely would ask that you look into that, ask Matt Mills for his opinion on that, because that definitely looks like there's a opportunity there to offset county taxes, which would be awesome for the taxpayers. Okay, so then it talks about care should be taken to avoid creating new programs or add-ons to existing programs that will require ongoing financial commitment. So that means setting up new things is not a good thing for this money to be used for. It says investment in critical infrastructure is particularly well-suited use of these funds because it is non-recurring expenditure and can be targeted to strategically important long-term assets that provide benefits over the years. like roads, sewers, other infrastructure. However, care should be taken to assess any ongoing operational costs. So we know, we've talked about many times about our infrastructure, about the sewer issues that are going on in the city particularly. So there's another opportunity if we determine that there's no strings attached. Also, it says consider regional initiatives, including partnership with other ARPA recipients. So we know the city of Granbury will also be a recipient of some of these funds. So as we work together as a county and city to address some of the infrastructure problems, if we determine that these funds, again, I'm very not hopeful that there are no strings attached, but if there are, it would be definitely beneficial to work with the city and do some long-term planning. Adequate time should be taken to carefully consider all alternatives for the prudent use of these funds and committing resources to ensure the best use of temporary funding. So those are my comments, and I just thank you for the time, and thank you.
Good, good. Ms. Sheelander,
I didn't sign up for this one,
did you want to speak on this?
not for this one.
Okay. No one else wanted to speak on it, so I guess, do you have anything else you want to say, Ms. Kidd? You didn't receive it.
Just acknowledging, sorry.
You didn't receive anything else, did you? I don't have anything else on the American Recovery. Ms. Lang? You don't have it? Okay. Good.
I've got something.
Go ahead, Dave.
There's a song that Robert Johnson wrote called The Crossroads. Eric Clapton did it. It's talking about meeting the devil at the crossroads and doing a deal with the devil. And first of all, on this American Recovery Plan, that's not really the correct name. It's called the American Rescue Plan of 2021. It's also H.R. House Bill 1319. I'm wondering who's read that. It's 259 pages, 8 pages just for table of contents. It, in my opinion, is a grow the government boondoggle. Section 2501 talks about funding for public health, workforce, hire a bunch of new government workers to the tune of $7.7 billion. Section 2601, funding for community health centers. Let's go buy some brick and mortar and set up some clinics, $7.6 billion worth. 2601B1, track and trace and surveillance. 2601B2, track and trace and surveillance. 2605, Ms. Samuelson, funding for family planning, $50 million, refers you over to 42 U.S.C. 300. Establish and operate family planning operations, including natural family planning methods and services for adolescents that they don't tell the parents about. Let me interpolate what that means. Planned Parenthood abortion clinics. If you read through the 259 pages of this act, you're going to see reference and reference and reference to other statutes under Title 42, Title 45, Title 15, and others under the U.S. Code. Title 42 in and of itself is thousands of pages. It's all the statutory law under the Public Health and Welfare Act of the United States government. Title 42 has 200 chapters in it. Who knows how many hundreds of pages? And I hadn't even covered Title 45 and Title 15 yet. I hadn't had a chance to look at all this because we're looking at the tip of the iceberg, but the iceberg is way up under the surface on this. So I guess my question, one thing is how many people have done any outside research on this? And allow me to give you a little legislative history on this particular act. When this bill came to the Senate, excuse me, and the final vote was taken in the Senate, it was a straight party line. 50 Democrats voted yes, 49 Democrats voted no, Republicans voted no, and 1 Republican didn't show up. Had he shown up, it would have been 50-50, and Carmella could have had the tiebreaker. But since he didn't show up, this act was passed by the absence of 1 turncoat Republican out of Arkansas. I called Ted Cruz's office about, oh, by the way, even John Cornyn voted no. So I called Ted Cruz's office about this and had a little discussion with his office. And I want to read what Senator Cruz had to say about this bill. Their approach on this so-called COVID relief bill is a hard left partisan bill. This is a Democratic wish list of spending. Cruz goes on, and I'm quoting, "I'm going to vote no on this monstrosity, but if they hold their 50 Democrats, they'll get it through," and they did. Cruz continues, "A whole lot of this bill has zero to do with COVID. This is about paying off left-wing special interests, and this is about paying off teacher union bosses." And again, as I stated before, and I think Ms. Samuelson brought it up, this is also a backdoor deal for Planned Parenthood. So if you don't think there's going to be strings attached to this, maybe you believe in unicorns, I don't know. I've heard talk around here in some other counties about sanctuary counties for the unborn, sanctuary cities for the unborn. I'll guarantee you this would say no to that if you take the money. I'm not saying we shouldn't accept this and put it over in an account to discuss it, but all I'm trying to do, and I don't want to be the fly in the ointment here, but I usually am. I'll take that responsibility. But this is something that we need to seriously look at, all the ramifications of it before we say, hold our hand out and say, give us $6 million, federal government. And I will say, actually, thank you, Ms. Samuelson, you brought something else up. I don't want to grow the government. I don't want to set up more departments. I don't want to hire people to do stuff that we're going to run out of money in 4 or 5 years on. But if we are going to do something, eligible uses, water, sewer, and broadband infrastructure. What types of water and sewer projects are eligible for these funds? I want to read it right out of their FAQs. Decentralized water treatment systems. Maybe there's an opportunity here to work with the city of Granbury on this water treatment issue that's currently controversial and on the table and has created a lot of controversy in the county. It talks about the Clean Water State Revolving Fund, the Drinking Water State Revolving Fund. I bet you that I can get Miss Victoria Calder to go look at some of this. My guess is that she will be happy to do some research. I think the idea of if we're going to think about using some of this money to help us with infrastructure like this, we've talked about, we were asked by some of the city folks, well, where are you going to get the money to do a regional plant? Well, maybe it's walked in the door. Again, we need to look at the strings that are attached to it, but I think we should have the conversation, and I think we should be wary of just jumping in and gladly accepting this money without really thinking it through and making sure we understand what we're accepting it for. So that's what I got to say. Thank you.
That's what I said. We're not going to use the money. We're just going to keep the money. We've already received it. Let's just keep it without returning the money. And after doing our research, and with Matt Mills, I hate to keep telling you this is just a lot of new stuff on your deal. Maybe you'll get some additional help out of your budget now that we can have this. And maybe we need another Attorney General opinion from this as to what we can use. And I'm for that too. I was in the same seminar from Dr. Hanson that y'all were in. It concerns me. And I don't want to do anything that obligates us to have to fund Planned Parenthood or teach critical race theory. That would be a no-no. But if we can get around it by having smart lawyers or having a document, an agreement from the Attorney General, and have certain things that says we can use the money that's best suited for our community, and we can do that, then I certainly want to be able to use that money. So that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying spend the money. I'm saying let's keep the money here, accept the money, and have workshops and have lawyers and attorney generals look at it and see just what are the strings attached to the money. That's the smart thing to do, no question. So, in fact, do I hear a motion to the effect of just what is on the agenda is to accept the American Recovery Plan revenue and sign the form for special revenue not anticipated before adoption of the fiscal year 2021 annual financial budget. This says we're just accepting it. It's staying right here. We're not spending any money. And what we're going to plan on doing afterwards is having workshops. And Mr. Mills, I think asking other county attorneys across the state, big ones, I'm talking about, well, I hate to say this, Dallas or Houston, is seeing, they probably don't care what the money is, what used for, they'll take it. But maybe some of them up in West Texas or whatever, maybe they've already spent a lot of time, and let's see what other county attorneys are doing to find out just what strings, if any, are attached to this money. I'm like you. As an attorney, very few people just ever knocked on my door and says, here's a check for you. Never seen that really. But let's check it out really good, because if we can keep the money and use it, and the money that we can't use on the thing, we'll have the money there to return to them if we don't. So I think this is just accepting the money, leaving it where it is, having plenty of workshops, having Mrs. Samuelson and Mrs. Shelander do another in-depth study for free, of course, for free, and see what other people are doing on the deal and report back. The other report that y'all gave us was totally outstanding. I mean, everybody acknowledges that. It was just an A++ report. Look at it. And I know that both of you will be looking at it from the standpoint of really looking at it to see if there's any strings attached to it. So let's just keep the money, don't spend it, have the report, then have workshops, and just take this real slow.
I agree, and one last little tag. If this money was meant for us to do with what we need to do for our own county, for our own uses, and there were no strings attached, here you go, taxpayer, we're giving you some of your money back that we stole from you in the first place, it'd be different. But I agree with the judge. We need to really look at this and have both eyes open when we sign off at the crossroads.
Okay, do I hear a motion?
Well said, Commissioner and Judge. I agree totally, and I could spend 15 minutes and repeat the same thing, but I won't. But I totally agree with that. So with that being said, I agree that just because we accept the money, which is already in the bank, by the way, the treasurer tells them we've already got it, to keep that money until we decide whether we can and how we can spend it for the benefit of Hood County, then we send it back. But we haven't committed to anything other than you have to fill out this form or else you don't get a take step two, my understanding. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So with that being said, I will make the motion to accept the recovery plan revenue and sign the form for special revenue not anticipated before the adoption of the fiscal year 2021 annual financial budget.
Second.
Okay, motion been made by Commissioner Cotton to accept the American Recovery Plan revenue and sign the form for special revenue not anticipated before adoption of fiscal year 2021 annual financial budget, and second by Commissioner Jack Wilson. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you very much, Ms. Kidd. You got one more item?
Yes, sir. The last item I have is to acknowledge and accept the 2021 review of the county clerk's financial records. The audit department has reviewed all financial records pertaining to the county clerk's collection of revenue and other operations for her office. We have no issues and ask that you accept her audit.
Okay. Any further discussion? Do I hear a motion?
I'll move that we accept the county clerk's financial records.
Second.
Okay. A motion has been made by Commissioner Cotton, Commissioner Eagle, to accept the 2021 review of the county clerk's financial records, second by Commissioner Andrews. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, Ms. Kidd.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Okay. All right, we're now into miscellaneous. Pursuant to the local government code 152.014, take appropriate action for the county judge to draw names for the salary grievance committee from a pool of citizens who served on a grand jury in Hood County during the preceding calendar year. I have an envelope containing those names, and Ms. Lang, the county clerk, if you will hold that envelope, and I'm going to pull the first name. I'm not going to read the name, but I am going to write a number on this, and then Ms. Lang will keep a record. I think there are 9 people that are on the grievance committee. There are 11 names in here. I'm going to go ahead and pull and write all 11 names, so in case one or more cannot be present, we got the alternates to do that. That's 2. Or 5. 'Don't worry, if any of these names are Nanette Samuelson or Sharon, I'm throwing them away because you have a job, okay? 6. 7. 8. 9. 10. 11. Okay, you want to take this envelope, put them back in there.
Judge, before we go too far here, I don't know as though it matters, but the name of that plan is the American Rescue Plan, not Recovery Plan. Does that matter?
It's a, I think it's listed, I've read it both ways.
Could make the motion recovery rescue /
Okay, Okay, well, American Recovery / Rescue Plan.
Pick the one that
With that,
fits.
H.R. 1319. This act may be cited as American Rescue Plan of 2021.
That's what we've got in the motion then.
okay.
All right.
Thank you.
No, that's not what we had in the motion. The motion was recovery. Dave said rescue.
That amendment, do y'all, with that amendment,
Yes.
let's vote again. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. American
Recovery,
Rescue
rescue, you're
Plan.
right. That's a tongue twister.
Rescue, all right.
Of 2021. You got it. Judge.
2021.
All right. So we take care of item 1. Item number 2, discuss and take appropriate action to approve the Hood County interlocal agreement for law enforcement services between the City of Crescent and Hood County. We got 3 distinguished members and citizens from Hood County. We have the mayor here, Ms. Petit. We've got the Chief Ron Becker, and we have their legal counsel, Sam Reed, here today. And the sheriff, is the sheriff still here?
Back there.
Okay. I have got this law enforcement service agreement, and I guess Sam, Mayor, all of y'all come down here, and the sheriff, we want all of y'all to say that this is something that we all want to try to do. Am I right, Sheriff?
Yes.
Okay. I think this is a very, very good situation. It's kind of a work in progress. We want to see how it's working. I mean, Crescent really has a good government, I think, with Mayor Petit and with Chief Becker here, and have a very competent council. I have this agreement here, and Mr. Mills, have you reviewed this agreement, interlocal agreement between City of Crescent and Hood County?
Yes, sir, I've spent quite a bit of time on it, and I went through back and forth with their counsel, and so this is the result of quite a bit of emails, so I think we're good.
All right. What should be the effective date of this? Is it today?
We talked a little bit about that. If you want to jump in, we were thinking about maybe July 1st, is that right?
Yes, Judge. We thought July 1st just started on a clean month, and actually the way we prepared the agreement, it's set to expire, is it August 1st?
30th of September.
30th of September, and then it'll renew immediately for another year unless a party pulls out. That way it's set for the budget, the annual budget for the City of Crescent.
Does that agree with you, Ms. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Chief Becker? Council member? Fire chief? How many hats do you have up there in Crescent anyway?
Don't have a big enough.
Okay. Well, let's go ahead and, does anybody else want to say anything about this? If not, do I hear appropriate motion?
I move that we approve the Hood County interlocal agreement for law enforcement services between the City of Crescent and Hood County.
Second.
Okay, motion been made by Commissioner Wilson to approve the Hood County interlocal agreement for law enforcement services between the City of Crescent and Hood County, second by Commissioner Eagle. And the effective date shall be the 1st of July, 2021. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you all very much for doing this. I hope this is the beginning of good things to come, okay? And I'm going to put down here, first day of July.
I guess it was a, he's got another question.
On number 1, do we need to make a motion to accept the names that you drew or anything? Yeah, those names that you drew for the employee grievance.
Salary grievance.
I guess we do. Blank names, okay. All right. Yeah, let's go back to item number 1 here. Okay, do I hear a motion for item number 1 regarding the names for the Salary Grievance Committee?
I'll make the motion to accept the names you've drawn for the Salary Grievance Committee.
Second.
Okay.
Second.
Third.
Okay, that's a unanimous second then. A motion has been made by Commissioner Andrews, second by the rest of the Commissioners Court. to accept the 11 names that I have drawn for 9 of the salary grievance committee members. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Okay. Today is the 22nd, and then okay, we'll make copies for this. This is it. In case y'all want to leave, you can leave or you can enjoy. Have y'all enjoyed all this y'all can possibly stand? You have? Okay. If you enjoyed all you can stand, here's the agreement. I signed it today, made it effective on July 1st. Sam, if you will.
Katie, need a copy of that
I think you're probably going to need it, aren't you?
Oh, okay. I guess hand it to Ms. Lang. And then we know where you are. We know where the rest of y'all are. Thank y'all very much for coming. I appreciate it. Thank you. Good to see you, Ms. Mayor. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Sheriff Dees. Appreciate that.
Okay, item number 3, discuss and take appropriate action to allow the county judge to sign the Axon agreement for interview room cameras at a cost of $63,540. Sheriff.
Judge, Commissioners, we talked about this on the budget amendment. So this is a 5-year agreement to fix our interview rooms and the intoxilizer room, entering in an agreement that's on the buy board. So I'd appreciate it if you'd pass this and we'd move forward and get everything fixed.
Okay.
Unless you got any questions.
We just did this money, right?
Yes, previous in the auditor's part. So the money was transferred and ready to go.
Discussion, do I hear a motion?
Yeah, I'll make that motion authorize the judge to sign the Axon agreement for the interview room cameras at a cost of $63,540.
A motion been made by Commissioner Eagle to allow the county judge to sign the Axon agreement for the interview cameras at a cost of $63,540. Second by Commissioner Wilson. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff. Item number 4, discuss and take appropriate action to renew, reform, or terminate economic development service agreement between Hood County and Granbury Chamber of Commerce. I guess that's you, Mr. Eagle.
Yes, sir. So we had a citizen ask us about this at the last court about economic development, and I said in open court that I would put this on the agenda to discuss. And that's one of the great things I like about it for the first court of the month, where people can come up here and talk about something that we don't have on an agenda to possibly look for on a next following agenda. And September 30th is the contract between the Hood County and the Chamber goes from September 30th, October 1st through September 30th, if I've read the contract correctly. And in the contract, it says that we need to give them 90 days notice if we're going to terminate, et cetera. And you'll notice that I put this renew, reform, or terminate. So those are the 3 options you would always have unless you didn't do anything, which it automatically renews. And I wanted to put it on the table to discuss and see if anybody had any ideas. I know that personally, I've got a few things in the contract that I would like to revisit myself. There's some reporting issues, there's some transparency issues, developing formal plan issues, notice issues, and so I just wanted to put it on the table for discussion. I don't know if Ms. Sheelander wanted me to bring it up, so did you have any comments today, or did you fill out a form? Okay. I'm not taking your job, Judge, sorry. Anyway, I just thought it would be a good idea to put this on the table, since this is time, and to discuss it. And I see we've got a lot of people here that will be interested parties in this issue, and I want to hear what they got to say if they want to speak. But this is just for discussion. That's it.
Okay. Mr. Kaufman?
Do I need to sign up?
Yes, you do. Okay.
I got here late, so I really didn't know I was going to speak either.
Well, let me say, we do this, you can, Ms. Sheelander signed up first, so she's number one.
Okay.
And you did, so you're number one, Ms. Sheelander. Come on. Jay, are you going to speak for the chamber too? Yes.
She's part of the agenda, I would think.
Yeah, well, the council, you're almost part of the agenda.
Almost, it seems like it.
No.
Mainly what I brought up the last meeting was the fact that we did have this agreement, and I hadn't heard or seen anything about it and how much they had brought to the county. What I heard last meeting was that we have a solar plant coming in and that, but I've also read where there's tax abatements, different things with the solar plant. My concern is how much are we bringing into the county that's actually bringing revenue into our county and employee opportunities into our county. The solar plant, I think at first in the development of it and the building establishment of it will bring in quite a few employees, but then once it's there, I believe the maintenance goes down to just a handful of employees. So those are one of the things, as you go forward with this, I want you to keep in mind how much revenue have they brought in and how many employees will they have for job opportunities. So that's just basically mine. I'm all for working together, bringing in opportunities to the county and that, but I just want to make sure we stay mindful in what it's bringing to us before we continue with the agreement.
Okay, good deal. Okay. So with that, I guess, Mr. Kaufman, do you want to go ahead and speak on economic development? And then Ms. Hopkins, you would speak next then, okay? Yes, sir.
Thank you, Judge, Commissioners. We do have a new president at the Chamber of Commerce. This was drafted under the old president. And Commissioner Eagle, I talked about it a little bit. I just want to assure you that there is a plan in place that was developed about 4, maybe 5 years ago. We did a study at the city with some stakeholders in the county and the Chamber of Commerce, brought in a consultant, did a study, stakeholder meetings, all that stuff took place, and it laid out the guidelines on incentives, policies that the city's adopted, and I believe you mirror those same policies as well. That's what we've got the chamber working on to implement for us as the city, and it's a 3-party agreement. We appreciate the cooperation that we enjoy with the city government, enjoys with the county government. It's a great advancement in our relationship through the years, and we look forward to continuing that partnership, whatever it looks like. We're here to support y'all in economic development because what's good for the county is good for the city and vice versa. And so we're excited about moving forward to continue economic development efforts in our community. And however that looks, I mean, you want to fine tune an agreement, we can work on ours as well. We want to walk together as we provide economic development. One of the things that the study pointed out was we don't have a steady funding source for economic development like our competing cities and counties do. They have foundations. They have tax revenue that's earmarked for economic development. We don't, and that puts us at a disadvantage. And so we need to do all we can together to overcome those disadvantages to still be able to compete, to attract those jobs to our area. So that's all I've got, and we just want to make sure that you understand we want to continue working with you, and we enjoy the good relationship that we have. Thank you. Any questions?
Me? No, thanks, Chris.
Thank you, Mr. Kaufman. Okay, Ms. Hopkins.
Morning.
Good morning.
I am very excited to actually get to talk to you about this today. And is it okay if I hand this out? If I have a copy for you as well? Okay.
Thanks.
Well, I want to start by saying, again, this contract isn't with me personally, so I'm speaking today on behalf of the Chamber of Commerce. But I have to say, we have to start looking at economic development instead of just an expense as an investment. And so I want to go over with you just page 5 and 6 of a study that we just had completed yesterday on the economic impact that we've seen thus far from this program. On page 5, it denotes that we have been able to create 48 permanent jobs, 303 temporary construction jobs, and $210 million in capital investment since this program was created between the city and the county. That's a total of over $2 million just in salaries that will be paid over the next 10 years. And also important to note, the return on your investment. You want to know what you're getting for your money, right? So it denotes on here that for every dollar that you've invested in economic development, you will receive $394 in additional workers' earnings and $33.40 in additional tax revenue, and that's just the county's portion. That doesn't include what has been contributed to the city, and it doesn't include what has been contributed to the school district. So I think that it's pretty easy to see, just looking at those numbers, that y'all have effectively funded your portion of economic development for the next 33 years. And so my question to y'all is also, now looking at this, that this is a pretty solid investment. And I think that I've discussed some of this with you. Y'all receive all of the benefits, whether a project goes in Granbury in the city limits or it goes out in the county. And currently, the city is giving $128,000 while the county is only giving $100,000. So I would rather have a bigger discussion on if those need to be upped and equal. So I think that this conversation is probably a little bit bigger than this morning. I would love to have a workshop where we really sit down. We want to be very fiscally responsible with every single dollar, and we want to make sure that y'all are happy with the contract just as the city is. But I think that this is a discussion that we all need to sit down and be a part of, and that the city needs to be included in. Does anybody have any questions?
You gave a good presentation at the intergovernmental meeting. I can't quote all of them, but you gave us at least how many projects you got in the kettle cooking right now?
So in the last year, just in 2021, I've responded to over 60 requests for information, which would equate to about $20 billion in investment if we were able to land every project that we looked at. And so every time that we submit on an RFI is an opportunity for us to win a project. And if you don't have someone dedicated to that, then there's nobody responding to those state requests or the requests that we get from our other regional partners. So I think that it's so important to have someone guiding this investment and this growth in the community, or you won't see these types of numbers. And I also, as part of my contract too, I also represent Hood County at the Council of Governments. I'm on their board. I'm also on the North Central Texas Workforce Board representing Hood County. And I am also on the Economic Development Council of Government Strategic Planning Committee. So all of those give us a bigger presence in the major metros where, you know, we have all of these discussions that we want to make sure that our viewpoints and our needs and concerns are met on a bigger scope, and that's another way that economic development contributes. I think that these big numbers are what people want to see and want to hear and want to talk about, but there's a lot of other things that go into economic development that are just as important. Advocacy is huge when you talk about economic development, and so those are important things to consider as well.
Well, I know I like the idea of a workshop. I think that's very important for us as the people who are making decisions about the taxpayers' money, to be available for the taxpayers to review what is going on. And, you know, frankly, sometimes I question whether we should be partnering with a private entity like the Chamber on something like this. You know, what kind of control, there may be some control issues or more reporting issues to look at. And I hear your point about perhaps more money, I don't know. But I certainly am in agreement that at this juncture, having a workshop and putting, you know, this is a pretty good size report, which, you know, I'm pretty good, but I haven't had a chance to read this in the last 3 or 4 minutes. But I would certainly like to review this and allow everybody else to have a chance to review it. So I appreciate you bringing that up. And also, I think the workshop idea where everybody can come in and throw in their 2 cents is a great idea. And perhaps, you know, at the least for me, and I'm just one vote up here, at the least for me is I've got some changes on the contract that I want to make. So anyway, that's my 2 cents, whatever that's worth.
Okay.
Well, this is a good report. I think he's right. I agree with Commissioner Eagle that we need to study it, that we need to have a workshop. I'm sure that we can continue to work together. This is impressive. I think we are getting our money's worth from what we're paying, but we want to let everybody look at these reports and study them. So do I hear a motion that we table this and schedule some workshops?
I'll make that motion with the caveat that we need to send in order to abide by the terms of the contract, we need to send some sort of letter to the Chamber to let them know we're doing this, I think. Give them written notice, because that's what the contract says, but based on that caveat that we're going to have discussions about it, then my motion will be, what would my motion be? That we're going to table this today for further review and workshops, and to give the Chamber written notice that we are going to renegotiate the contract. How's that?
Have a workshop with the Chamber. Have a
Yes,
workshop
yes, sure.
with the Chamber.
Sure.
And the city, and possibly renegotiate. Okay? That's your motion? Do I hear something?
Somewhere in there, that's my motion.
Get that down, Ms. Lang? Yes. Okay, and you got it down that Commissioner Wilson second that? Yes, sir. So all in favor of the motion that we have that we table this and the economic development, that we have workshops, that we work together with the Chamber, with the city, with the citizens, have workshops, fully discuss it, see where we're going, with the possible idea that maybe we negotiate or renegotiate some of the items, but come up with an agreement to hopefully continue working with the economic development program with the city and the county and the Granbury Chamber. Second by Commissioner Wilson. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, Ms. Hopkins. Okay. Next item. Discuss and take appropriate action to terminate RFB 2021-002 contract with primary vendor Expressway Car Care. Mr. Glenn Tillman.
Yes. Judge, Commissioners, thanks to the fine work of the Sheriff's Office, it's come to our attention that there was some overbilling charged against Hood County that has actually led to a pending investigation. And I believe you all have read the letter from Chief Deputy Smith regarding this, and we are just requesting to terminate this contract immediately.
Okay. I think I have seen proof myself of the overbilling in this regard and have seen the report. I'd hope that the other commissioners have. So do I hear an appropriate motion?
Judge, I'll make the motion to terminate RFB 2021-2, the contract with primary vendor Expressway Car Care.
Second that, effective immediately.
Motion made by Commissioner Andrews to terminate the contract with primary vendor Expressway Car Care immediately. Second by Commissioner Eagle. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed, say nay. Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, item number 6, Sheriff. Discuss and take appropriate action to authorize the sheriff to move an employee from corporal position to a sergeant position. Can you explain that, Sheriff, please?
In the last 6 months or more, we've found out that there's been a lot of drugs coming into Hood County, a lot more in bigger quantities than in the past. So I needed to take action as best I could. So I put together more of a street crimes unit to start working that as hot and heavy and hard as we can. And they're doing a great job in getting results. With that, we had a sergeant move from sergeant position into the street crimes unit, and so I need to fill that position and the corporal position. That's what the number 6 and 7 both are. So I don't know if I did this in the wrong order or what, but I guess it's on the agenda for us to discuss. There's money in the budget and it's not much money to move the sergeant to, I've already had him officially in that position, taking care of that business. But we just need to officially make him the sergeant so he can get paid for what he's doing. And the corporal moved a deputy into that corporal position also. So it's not much money what we're talking about. And actually these two positions on number 6 and number 7 are under the step 6. So normally we wouldn't even need to bring that to court, but in the big picture of the thing, then the other deputy is above step 6. But I don't want him to lose any money on this deal. He's working hard and taking care of Hood County, so.
I guess my only question is, so what are the numbers?
The numbers?
Yes, sir.
So let's see which one, so the corporal position to the sergeant position, and that's, moving him from, I get a word out here. Moving him from a corporal step 5 to a sergeant step 5 position. And I can't even read the numbers. Let me turn to another page.
Well, it was about $6,100 difference, all said and done.
For both of them?
Well, we got to talking about this in the office yesterday, and I think that we're missing a step procedurally here. That's what he was talking about, because basically we'd be creating an additional sergeant position right now. And you'd be creating an additional sergeant position because he hasn't vacated the sergeant position. Step number 1. So I think that we've got a procedural thing going on here that we had talked about yesterday, and I thought we needed to table this thing and discuss it a little bit more and work out the correct steps or what we needed to do on that. And you were okay with that when we talked about it yesterday, right?
Yeah, I just don't want anybody to lose any money, but I need to get this done. So if we need to put this off till next court, then I'm definitely okay with that.
Well, Judge, I'd like to, make a motion to table
Yeah, if you do that, though, I want to just make sure that we understand the sheriff right, that you've got this crimes division working now. This would not stop them from doing what they're doing. Right now, all we're doing, we just haven't put the right pegs in the right slot, which is what you're trying to do. And I got the presentation from Chief Smith and Captain Barry, get the spreadsheet, knowing what you're doing, and I said, it looked good to me. I assumed that this would be in the next budget cycle, because we've been changing a bunch of titles, which I guess we get stuck with our own rules about doing that, because we really don't have an open position to move the sergeant back to a deputy. We just don't have that position available. So we kind of got stuck with the rules, but what I don't want to do is make sure that it stops you from doing your job and getting the people where you want them to go. So if we table that, would that hurt your operation?
Well, for another couple of weeks, I don't think it will. I just don't want to lose any of these people. They do a great job for me and take care of business for the citizens of this county, so I want it done right. So we can put this off till the next court.
Yeah, you know, this is what we're talking about here. We've got guys out here that are going out there risking their lives. I'm talking about on the street crimes unit, dealing with these meth dealers to keep this meth from coming up here. And none of us know how to run the sheriff's office the way the sheriff does. He's the longest serving sheriff we've ever had here. He's in his 4th term. He does a great job of protecting all the citizens. And I'm not sitting up here saying I don't want to micromanage somebody that's doing this. I know the officers that are involved with this. I definitely don't want to lose them to go to Stephenville or someplace else. They know that they're going to get their pay retroactive? Can we do that? Or if they're already doing the job of a sergeant, and I see Melissa shaking her head, they should be receiving the pay for sergeant. And if this is coming out of his budget and the sheriff has the budget, the money within his budget, and we're not pulling it from any other fund, I just think that we ought to give the sheriff a little leeway that he needs to run his department kind of the way he sees fit, as long as he's doing it within the budget. Now, that's the way I feel about it, is that, you know, we got crime to fight, and if they bring in a lot of meth into this county, I'm looking at the juvenile probation officers right then, and that's one of our major problems that they bring to me every week, is about the juveniles being hooked on marijuana and dope and everything. I'd like to get it off of our streets. I think Ms. Sheelander's even agreeing with me this morning on this deal. So I don't know if tabling it's the right thing to do, because if we tabling it and we've got officers already in that position, what is the best thing to do? Since the money's already there in the budget, we're talking about a total of $6,000 till the end of this budget year. Is that correct? $6,100?
Is that an annual?
Yes.
That'd be an annual increase.
It's changing the budgeted pay structure.
Not changing the total budget that the sheriff has.
It's changing the structure of the expectation for next year, but.
Well, for 2 weeks, Judge, it seems to me like we can straighten out the procedural issues here. And, you know, we're coming up on budget time, and we're going to sit here and start making exceptions. I think we should, I'm going to second Commissioner Andrews' motion to table it.
Okay, a motion been made by Commissioner Andrews to table the action to authorize the sheriff
two of them, don't you?
to move
On
an
6 and
employee-
7, right?
Yeah.
Yes, that's
corporal
correct.
position, a sergeant position, and to move an employee from patrol deputy to a corporal position. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Was the tabling until the next court?
Yeah, with the tabling until the next court, which is
July 9.
July 9th.
Yes.
I didn't mean to overstep my bounds. I knew I had it in the budget. I got a problem I got to take care of, serving and protecting the citizens, so I had people dedicated that wanted to dedicate their time to doing this, but I couldn't see having a person handling the job of sergeant and corporal without paying them accordingly. So I just didn't want it to go out there too long before the.
I think
before the end of the budget year.
we can fix that.
You think that we can fix that? Ms. Welborn? Ms. Kidd, can we fix this in the next 2 weeks? Okay. All right. All those in favor of tabling it, tabling these two items, 6 and 7, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
Nay also. All right, motion carries 3-2.
We'll be back. Thank you.
Okay. All right, thank you, Sheriff. All right, item number 8, discuss and take appropriate action regarding Hood County's employee benefit plan for the plan year of 2021 to 2022.
Good morning. This is just a follow-up from last Thursday's workshop. Each of you should have received the packet a couple of weeks ago. I'll be happy to try to answer any questions you may still have this morning. Kathy Davenport from TAC is also available if you have any questions for her.
Which one is this that we're talking about?
Well, last Thursday during the workshop, we discussed option 2 quite a bit.
That's right. Tell us what option 2 is again, so we're right here in open court with it.
Certainly. Option 2 increases the employee's deductible from $2,000 to $3,000. It also increases the total out-of-pocket from $4,000 to $4,150 for a total of $7,150. Copay goes from $35 to $40, and specialist copays goes to $50 from $35. Also, premiums will go up for all employees who carry dependents, spousal coverage, or family coverage. No matter what option you go with today, premiums are going up.
Families. For the families?
Yes, sir. Family coverage, spousal coverage, or coverage for children.
Let's use me as an example. This is what I didn't really understand. I've always had different health care, and I injured my right shoulder, and I was talking to Melissa about this, and I mean, I couldn't raise my hand 20 degrees. But as you can see now, the miracle of being a good person, I can now do all of that on my right shoulder. And so I was asking when I couldn't raise my hand, is it just going to cost me $2,000 to have this shoulder surgery? And Melissa informed me, says, no, you got to pay the $2,000, and then you got to pay the $4,000. So you're out $6,000 before we get started on your surgery.
Yes,
Right.
that is a possibility. If you have a major procedure, that you will be out approximately $6,000,
Okay.
depending
Now-
on the cost.
Now, with this new plan, where we're talking about where it's going up from 2,000 to 3,000, we're talking about the county picking up or reimbursing to the employee the $1,000.
Up to 1,000, yes.
Up to 1,000. Because not every employee is going to have that major type of surgery. And from looking at it statistically from years going back, it's only about 25% of the total employees, is that right?
Approximately 25 to 35%, yes.
That the county would have to reimburse. So that's about having to set aside, we have a little over 300 employees, and you're talking about budgeting and setting aside, what, $75,000?
That's right. We have been encouraged to budget for approximately 150 employees. I don't think we'll need that much, but it's always safe.
So see that, I think that's a lot of money for an employee that if they had to get major surgery or something, to have to come up with even the 6,000, but more than 6,000, that's a lot to look at. And that's what we want to try to do, is to take care of the employees. You know, a lot of companies are trying to cut back on everything, not even on the employee themselves. I would like to keep the plan as close to that as we possibly can. That's just better for all of our employees. And by having that reimbursement up to $1,000 and only increasing the copay $5 from the normal copay, and what is it, 10 for the specialist?
It's 15 for a specialist.
15 for a specialist, you could pay that. I can see us paying that, putting that on a credit card, or giving up 2 Big Macs a month or something, that you could do that. But for just coming up with a whole bunch of money at one time, that's a lot. And yet, the total cost of increasing the health plan for the county would be how much? How much more would the county have to pay by going to what I've just described and what you just described
With this
as option
particular
2?
option,
Yes,
the increase is $77,400.
that the county would have to pay anyway to keep this.
That's additional to what we've already spent for the current plan.
Yes.
Plus the set-aside.
That's correct, plus the set-aside of approximately 75.
If we stuck with the same plan we've got now, what's the cost for that, for the county? If we didn't
Total?
Yeah.
It's $2,712,000.
Yeah. $250,000 if we stay with the same plan,
No, I'm sorry, it's $2,969,640.
which is an increase of how much?
$257,000.
Yes, okay. And just, so,
Half a cent in tax.
So looking at, you know, there's.
worst case, 77 plus 75 if we had to use it. Now you're at 150 for the county, where if you stick with the same plan, it's 250.
That's correct. If you go with option 2, the cost is $2,789,424.
Right. Yeah.
Which is still an increase from the current year, but not as large.
And what's the set-aside called, HHC or something?
Well, after visiting with TAC, and I've done some calling around, it's actually more or less just an in-house agreement. It would be an interlocal agreement that I would need to get some guidelines ready to go for the court to approve, and since Matt doesn't have anything else to do, I'm going to ask him for his help with these guidelines. Unfortunately, I'm not sure I'm totally equipped to write all the guidelines. I have been advised that guidelines do need to be put in place, that the court agrees with, and then my recommendation would be that each employee that participates in our plan sign off on those guidelines during open enrollment, because they don't need to come back later, and we can't make changes mid-year.
Okay, so as our HR director, what do you recommend doing? Do you recommend going with option 2?
Well, it's up to the court which option we go with.
I know it's up to us.
If you choose to go with option 2, then I will do everything in my power to make the reimbursement agreement work for the court, the county, and our employee, if that's the option you choose to go with, and we implement this agreement plan.
Well, and I think whenever we had the discussion, the budget discussions, there was some concern about the 1099, the compensation to the reimbursement not being counted as compensation where they would have to pay taxes.
That's correct. It is not. I have
Is that-
visited, the outside auditor has responded and stated that it is not taxable, it is not reportable. I have visited with the treasurer. She thinks that there is a way to process this reimbursement through Tyler where it is not reported nor is it taxed.
Okay, all right. I knew that that was a concern, so.
Now, with that being said, if you go with this and we do process the reimbursement agreement, then the guidelines will stipulate that I will have to go off of a report from Blue Cross and Blue Shield. I can't just go and reimburse anyone just because they tell me they have met their $2,000 deductible and over. Because keep in mind, the employee still has to meet the $2,000 deductible before we start reimbursing them.
Up to 3,000.
That's correct. Also, it's up to the court whether we look at it as just a one-time reimbursement per employee, no matter what type of coverage they may carry as far as spouse, child, family. Are we just going to look at the employee and reimburse them the one time, no matter who they've met the deductible on? Because I won't have that information. That information is not available to me.
Okay, so what you're saying is on the family situation, we don't know whether that deductible is being met through the employee only or through the dependent or spouse or whatever?
That is correct. I will
Okay.
not know.
I got you. All right, that kind of changes.
My recommendation would be the employee gets one reimbursement, and if they have family coverage and it's on the spouse, then that's who their reimbursement's going for.
One reimbursement per employee,
Employee.
period.
No matter what the coverage
Is it
is.
just for the employee or employee and the spouse, or employee, spouse, and children?
That's correct, because it could get real confusing and cause some issues. This is more or less just a trial for us. Again, it's an interlocal process that the court will be doing. If it works, we may look at something bigger next year. Again, healthcare is not going down. We are not going to see our costs go down. So we have got to start looking forward to how we can make adjustments that doesn't hurt our employee any more than we have to, nor does it hurt our county any more than we have to in the sense of funding.
So what do you need today? Do we need to say, what I'm thinking is let's go with option 2, and then we still may need to do a little bit of fine tuning and tweaking on the
guidelines.
HRA, the guidelines, whatever you want to
That's
call
correct.
that thing.
So do we
And
have
I'm
to
sure
do the-
there's plenty of, other counties that have paperwork. We don't have to reinvent the wheel on this. I'm sure some other people have figured out how to do this. But we may need to do some tweaks to make it fit.
I hope
where we
so.
need.
I have visited with a few counties who do not have any guidelines in place.
Oh.
But I don't recommend us going into this process without any guidelines.
When do we have to sign a new agreement? When do we have to choose?
The renewal is due at TAC June 30th.
So we have to decide on the option at least today, or have a
Yes.
special session before June 30th.
Let's have Ms. Tack up here explain to us. We're going to bind her, she's an agent.
Good morning. As far as TAC is concerned, all we need to know by June 30th is the plan you want to go with, and then contributions amount. Like, is the county going to cover the employee-only portion at 100%, and then at the other levels, or coverage, tier coverage, employee plus child, spouse, family, those amounts. So we just need to know and have the paperwork saying which plan you want to go with by June 30th. As far as this fine tuning, that is completely y'all's decision, and I will back. I have been very impressed with all the discussions and stuff that has been going on, because they're trying to make sure they're covering all the bases to keep the county protected and the employees protected. So, like I said, once y'all decide that, I'm just back up in trying to help them fine tune that process, but that's, as far as we're concerned, that's all you have to do.
That gives us leeway to go ahead and fix it, so.
So,
Motion?
Well, I can. I move that we go with option 2, and then with the understanding that we're going to do the
Guidelines.
Local agreement with the guidelines or whatever to
Okay.
reimburse for that additional one-time $1,000, but I think that's something we can negotiate and work through later. But, so I guess the motion is to go with Plan 2.
I'll second.
Option 2.
Option 2.
Option 2, as discussed. You got that? We may,
Yes.
okay. All right. All right, do I hear a second?
Yeah, I'll second it.
Okay, motion made by Commissioner Andrews to have the county go for option 2 of the employee benefit plan for the year 2021-2022, second by Commissioner Eagle. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, Ms. Welborn.
Thank you.
Ms. Tack. And
Yes.
I appreciate, y'all work very well together, and thank you for coming back again. Really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
She's been a huge help. Thank you.
Yes, well, good. We'll keep her in.
Keep her number.
Yeah, take her number. She's in your phone, I assume. Okay. Item number 9, discuss and take appropriate action to approve moving Constable 4 Office Manager from CS 3-6, $29,389 to CS 3-8, $31,058 to be in line with the previous office manager salary, effective hire date of Monday, May 24, 2020. May 24, 2021. Okay, yes, ma'am.
Good morning. Constable Jordan is not able to be here today. He is in training this week, so I told him that I would bring this to the court. What we are doing, because the budget and the previous employee was at a CS 3-8, it requires court approval to bring an employee in above a step 6. So we brought his new hire in at a CS 3-6, and then bringing it to court to move her to what the previous employee was making. The current employee that he just recently hired came in. She did have some help. However, she ran a tax sale probably the second week she was employed under Constable Jordan. Yes, sir, I believe she is, and Constable Jordan believes she is.
Okay, something that I've thrown out there that I would like to see done with this is to attach that increase to doing the tax sale. To maybe separate this out as a stipend or something. We've talked to, Becky and I have kind of beat this idea up a little bit about making the base pay in line with the other constable clerks, but putting a stipend on there that's attached to the tax sales, because that is more work for that employee to do. But if you know, a commissioner down the road, a constable, because we keep getting into situations where, you know, deals have been made without a whole lot of documentation, and it catches up with us on the backside. I think we're all dealing with that right now. But if we put this, if we separated that out and paid it kind of as a stipend attached with doing the tax sales, that way, in the future, if Constable 3 did the tax sales, and his clerk wanted to do the paperwork on that, that money would go to pay whoever's doing the tax sale as a stipend.
And if the court did choose to do that, that would have to be done during the budget process this year.
Yeah, I don't think you can create a position, not supposed to anyway.
Correct. I think the budget line item would have to be created during the budget process.
Right.
So could we do that now? I mean, do the bump now, change in step now, but separate that out in the next budget? Would that be okay-ish?
I think the best policy here is that this particular position for Chad Jordan, because of the workload, is at a 3A. At any point in time, it needs to be very clear in the next budget that if they do not do tax sales, then that position goes back to a 3-7.
But how do we put that in as a policy for the future. That's, that's what I'm saying. I mean, we've got sharing employees and everything else that, now there's everybody involved in that negotiation is no longer here. So I would like something to be, kind of transparent and connected to that duty.
And I understand exactly where you're getting to, because again, I know how busy that office is.
Mhm.
And I've talked about it, I've pretty much talked about it with everyone. I'm happy to see her get this money. That's probably not enough for the workload. But to separate those two is going to be hard. I don't think Chad's going to just say, I'm not going to do tax sales anymore.
Right, right.
That's his evaluating. So you probably just have to address that in the next budget year. But I see what you're saying. If he stops doing it, you don't want to pay her that. I don't know. I don't know how you reduce somebody's salary. I mean, how you going to reduce their salary in the middle of the budget year anyway? Without a big fight. I'll do whatever you guys want me to do. I just don't really know how to make this effective for just this one thing and a stipend for that, because then people are going to come out of the woodwork probably and tell you that their employee does this, and they want that raise for that. I'll help you any way I can, Kevin. I don't know how to be fair.
I'm not saying this is an easy situation, but, if something changes in the future, to have.
Well, for this agenda item here, it's a request to change from a CS 6 to an 8. It really doesn't have anything to do with the issue that we're talking about right now of this type and doing tax sales.
It does not.
I don't think, I thought we were going to deal with
Okay.
that in the budget hearings.
So-
I see additional money for this clerk, what I see in the budget. This is pretty standard for a constable secretary at 31,000, isn't it? I mean, that's not out of line.
This is standard for that particular position.
Standard for that position.
Yeah.
It's not including
Yes.
the tax sales in this.
Actually, it does.
That one is.
It has additional duties, that particular position.
The only agenda item says that they're asking to move from a CS 3.6 from 29,389 to a CS 3.8, which has to come through the court at 31,058. That's a standard salary for that position, isn't it?
The other clerical positions in the constable's office are not at a 3.8.
So, and I think you've answered my question. This isn't something that we can do now. It's something we'd have to do.
Correct.
Next
Yep.
budget cycle, so.
I'm just asking to have this current position put in the same step and grade plan that the previous employee was
Okay.
at.
That should be done. That's got to be done. She's doing the same work that the previous clerk was doing. And
Yes,
she's
sir.
right across my office, and I know how hard that office is busy. She's constantly busy doing something. And it's got to be something like a stipend. I kind of like that idea, based upon workload and the additional duties that that clerk has as opposed, our office manager has opposed to the other constable. So I think that motion is just like we said here. The motion is just to go from a 6 to an 8. And so do I hear a motion in that regard?
Yeah, I'll make the motion to approve moving Constable 4 Office Manager from CS 3.6 at 29,389 to CS 3.8 at 31,058 to be in line with the previous office manager salary, effective with hire date of May 24th, 2021.
Second.
Motion been made by Commissioner Eagle to move the Constable 4 Office Manager from a CS 3.6 to a CS 3.8 to be in line with the previous office manager second. Salary effective date Monday, May 24th, 2021, second by Commissioner Wilson. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, Ms. Wilburn.
Thank you.
You got one more, don't you?
Unless Andy's here.
Yeah, there she is.
You didn't get my text.
No, I didn't get your text.
Because I didn't send it?
I know, because you
Okay.
saw me.
All right.
Good morning.
Right.
How are y'all today?
Good morning. How are you?
Good. I was wanting to move my title clerk, Carrie Nelson, from the supervisor up to the chief deputy position and put her in at the pay of the chief deputy's position pay. She's been with us for over 4 years. She's got office manager skills. She's great cash handling. She can do the job, and she's been doing it.
And this is within her budget. She's got the slot.
Yep. It's
And
already
that's what
there.
we moved.
The money's already budgeted for that position.
That's what you've been paying the chief deputy for years,
Yep.
correct? Or
That's
that-
what I started
Yeah,
out at as well.
I grilled her on that to make
Yes,
sure
he
that that
did.
wasn't, a longevity difference or anything like that with the
No, there was
last
no
one.
pay
So that's
raises,
just the
no
the
longevity.
base pay for that
Base pay.
position, so.
Well, if Kevin took her down, then we were probably in pretty good shape.
He did,
so, okay.
last night before I went home.
All right, so I put this on the, sponsored this, I'll make the motion then to approve the promoting of employee from tax assessor collector, Title II clerk to, or CS 4-5, 30,171.96, to tax assessor collector chief deputy, a CS 7-9 at $40,890, effective Monday, June 21st, 2021.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Cotton, second by Commissioner Andrews. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. Motion carries unanimously, 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, Andy.
Thank you.
Okay. Item number 11 was
Item number
pulled
11,
off
I'd like to pull that. I was the sponsor, but I think our Jay would like to do some more work on that, so I want to pull that off.
Okay. Item number 12, discuss and take appropriate action to have the county judge sign the certified payment service provider agreement for credit card processing in the county clerk's office. Ms. Lang.
Good morning, Commissioners and Judge. So we have for Marks and Brands, we have, I guess what it's called is, the registration's going to be renewed, renews every 10 years. And so the current records management system we have now is very cumbersome, and to use it requires the application to be scanned in several times until it can finally be scanned into Tyler. And then it's indexed in Tyler and sends the image to the Cattlemen's Association website immediately. So Tyler's the one that sends it to the Cattlemen's. In order to get it to Tyler, we have to use the EDOC records management software, which that runs about $750 a year, but it's just very cumbersome. Well, we have been informed about a new operation to do. It's going to be online, and if our county is participating in the electronic renewal process, I need to have Certified Payments, which is a company for the credit card processor. So basically, Certified Payments will be giving us a little credit card processor that you put at the window for the customers to use, and they will take care of all the payments and setup process. They're also going to be offering training starting August 2nd on YouTube. It'll be sent out to all the counties. August 17th is going to be a soft launch for the new application to be accepted, but will be held until September 1st when the counties are allowed to take payment. So this renewal process by statute takes place September 1st. And then September 1st is the official go live. So instead of using our cumbersome software in-house, we'll be able to use the online, and that's basically all it is. And all we have to do is have Certified Payments pay it through the third-party software. So, any questions?
So do they take a fee out, or how does that work?
They do take a fee for the credit cards, just like any other bank would do.
But the county's not paying it.
But the county is not paying. No, it's free for the county.
You say about, we voted to switch over from net data, which is what your office was basically running on,
Yes.
to Tyler.
You
Tyler
voted for
Odyssey.
that. Yes, you voted for that.
We did do that, right?
Well, I haven't done it
This-
yet, but you voted for it.
And we signed the agreement to do that.
Yes.
Okay. So is this agreement somehow taking something away from what Tyler Odyssey provides for receiving payments?
I don't have Tyler Odyssey. I have Eagle Recorder. That's a separate software program. So I have Tyler in my land records office, and I have net data in my court justice center office. So I have both Tyler and net data in 2 different offices. And I'm talking about the land records office using Tyler. It's still going to be processed through Tyler, but it goes from, for the customers, they can get online, and they can do their marks and brands, and they can have their images sent directly to the Cattlemen's Association a lot quicker, and it's just not cumbersome at all.
I guess I'm not that conversant in computer technology on the thing. I'm just want to make sure that we're not signing.
I did have the county attorney look over the contract, and he didn't have any problems with it. Oh, did he? He left? He hightailed it out of here. But no, I did have him look at it, and he gave me the go-ahead with it.
Well, I'll just make the motion then to have the judge sign the Certified Payment Service Provider Agreement for credit card processing in the county clerk's office.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and second to have the service provider agreement signed by the county judge for the county clerk's office. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries 5-0.
Thank you very much, court.
Well, but I thought everybody was up over 31,000.